Welcome to Lubera. My name is Markus Kobelt. I'm founder of Lubera, and this, before the camera, is Feli Fernandez. Feli, you are breeding raspberries and other stuff in East Malling. How are you coming to this job?
Well, I studied in Spain to become an agronomist, and during my degree I found that the topics in genetics and plant breeding were the most interesting. East Malling Research has an international reputation for their work in breeding and genetics. So when I finished my studies, I had the opportunity to come and do some work in genetics, starting with apple and then moving on to other crops, including raspberries. So I've been here for the last 13 years.
And what crops you are breeding here in East Malling?
I am responsible for the raspberry breeding program, the cherry, the sweet prunus breeding program, and also apple and pear rootstocks.
And beside your job, you are also breeding privately?
No, not
but
really. But
you have a daughter.
Well, I do. That's a very small breeding program, only one seedling.
Okay, but the selection wasn't so bad.
No, it's not at all.
And so these are many crops you are working together at the same time. How is that possible, and what are the similarities?
Actually, the rootstocks are not too difficult because the pollination in apples and pears falls at a different time, and the evaluation is always on harvested fruit in the autumn, so that's relatively straightforward. Working with raspberries and cherries does become quite difficult because we have both plumocanes and floricane fruiting raspberries, so there is an overlap of fruit during the summer. Obviously there are synergies between doing lots of breeding programs. You get the added experience of crossing and understanding the genetics, but you do have to eat a lot of fruit in July.
That's possible?
Sometimes painful. It is possible, sometimes painful, but it is possible.
You can eat too much fruit, that's possible?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Especially if it's warm from the field and you do raspberries and cherries on the same day, it definitely can be too much.
You are breeding here in Kent, in East Malling. Is it possible to breed here for whole UK, for the continent? How are you thinking about other markets when you are selecting and breeding here?
In terms of breeding, it's relatively straightforward, but when it comes to the actual selection process, you have to bear different things in mind. So, for example, varieties that you might select that might be going to work in raspberries, for example, that might be working in Southern Europe. You don't have to focus so strongly in earliness, but shelf life is a lot more important because they have to travel farther. When it comes to prunus selections, cherries, winter chill is very important. So a variety that does well here might not be so well adapted to somewhere farther south. So equally, winter injury can be a problem. So for example, some of the rootstocks that we select here, when they go to places like Canada, they can suffer. So you just have to bear in mind that the main would be the same, but there will be particular traits that are dependent on where they live.
Feli, last question, how are you doing with the long-term aspect of plant and fruit breeding? You are now breeding for how many years? 10 years?
Yes.
Actively? You will breed for another 30 years?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And how can you motivate yourself for this long term? I know for myself, I know the answer, but what is your answer?
Well, you have to be an optimist. You can't do fruit breeding unless you have a positive outlook. So you have to set yourself short-term goals and long-term goals. I can select for some things quite quickly, so I can improve fruit size relatively quickly. I can improve pest and disease resistance in the long term. So it's all about finding motivation in the smaller things and enjoying the job itself. It's a fun job to do.
Thank you very much, Feli Fernandez, and we and all gardeners are learning from you long-term goals, short-term goals, and positive thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wie geht's weiter? Aber ich kann Ihnen helfen. Hier geht's zu Lubera.com, dem Shop mit über 5000 Pflanzen und über 5000 Gartenprodukten. Hier können Sie den YouTube-Channel abonnieren, Hier, ja, hier gibt es Gartenvideo.com, wo Sie einfacher durch unsere über 1500 Videos surfen können. Und hier, ja, hier gibt es Gärten.com, wo es mehr Gartenunterhaltung und mehr Garteninformation gibt. So geht's weiter. Pflücken Sie jetzt Ihre Blumen.